Buhari sinks 130 million Nigerians into poverty as INEC battles underage voters. Good evening and welcome to today's episode of the 𝗘𝗀𝗶𝗽𝗺 podcast with Jude Bela. The federal government, through the National Bureau of Statistics, said 130 million Nigerians are currently poor. This is hardly a thing of surprise. I was even wondering why that figure isn't even higher, because everyone is literally struggling in the country right now. In its 2022 Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index survey released in Abuja last week on Thursday, the 17th of November, the National Bureau of Statistics said the figure represents 63% of Nigerians' population. That is, more than half of the country is poor. But how did they arrive at this conclusion? The measure used to calculate the figure was based on Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index, known as MPI, with 5 components of health, living standard, education, security, and unemployment. According to the survey, over 50% of children across the country are currently affected by poverty. The poverty index stood at 27% in Ondo State, while the figure is estimated at 97% in Sokoto State. I think Sokoto State is currently the poverty capital of the world. I'd really like to know what the presidential candidates plan to do with that state. This is not a deep dive video, but then it's like a habit for me now. I can't help it. So I looked over historical figures to see the progress we've made as a nation and to also compare Nigeria with other nations, and this is what I found. In 1985, before the coup that removed Buhari from power, Nigeria's poverty rate was 94.2%. Now we have same man in office, and it's shocking how history can repeat itself. According to macro trends, this on the screen right now is Nigeria's poverty rates. This is the historical data for you. In the year 1985, we have 94.2%, and in 1992, it was 93%, 93.3%, and then 1996, same 93.3%. But if you move to 2015, it was like 90.8%. This record is from Macro Trends. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. Now, comparing Nigeria with other countries, I found that Nigeria is currently topping the list of similar countries when it comes to poverty. Angola, Pakistan, Indonesia, Mongolia, even Vietnam are all doing better than Nigeria currently. This is the list on the screen for you. But seriously, I want to ask this question. Will it get better or worse? Because I don't see where we go from here as a nation if we elect someone who doesn't really care about the citizens into power in 2023. Now, remember, the measure being used to calculate the 2022 poverty index is based on 5 components of health, living standard, education, security, and unemployment. Now, let's talk about health for a minute. In case you've not seen my latest docu-series, I dropped a new episode of the Truth Uncovered series yesterday on the main channel. While researching that video, I came across several ridiculous happenings within our health system. From owing doctors' salaries for over half a year without any just cause, to threatening the same doctors with no work, no pay. I mean, come on. You're already owing them for like 5 to 6 months of their salaries, and you have the guts to still threaten them that if they don't show up to work, you won't pay them. What nonsense! And then there is the story of power outages in hospitals, a doctor showing up drunk, and 4 babies dying shortly after birth. Women having to give birth on the road because of the poor healthcare system. I read a pathetic story about a HIV patient that was being transferred to Nigeria from the UAE, and she died 48 hours after getting to Nigeria as a result of careless attitude and poor healthcare services from the National Hospital in Abuja. So tell me, will it get better? Muhammadu Buhari's administration claimed to have spent over 2 trillion naira on healthcare, yet he cannot trust any Nigerian hospital or doctors to treat him. The shocker in all of this is Buhari keeps cutting money meant for healthcare with his annual budget. President Muhammadu Buhari proposed a capital expenditure of 46 billion naira for the Ministry of Health in 2020. The proposal was 4 billion naira short of 2019 and 10 billion naira short of the 2018 capital expenditures respectively. Now, an examination of the 2020 budgetary proposal shows that health was 11th on the hierarchy. Out of the 10 trillion naira budget, Buhari allocated just 0.4% to health. According to the Premium Times, Nigeria only has 24,000 medical doctors to serve over 200 million people. So again, will it get better? I think it all depends on how we vote in the upcoming election. Nigerians need to make sure that these politicians get the message. You can't be allocating money to trivial things while ignoring people's lives. How many hospitals were built during the COVID-19 pandemic? How many? Also, lots of money was released. The government did a lot of borrowing. What happened with all the funds? We need to stop with the stomach infrastructure. Now, the federal government of Nigeria can commit to building at least one world-class hospital annually and evenly distribute this across the geopolitical zones in Nigeria. If that is done, in 6 years, the federal government would have built 6 world-class hospitals. If we do this for 3 administrations, we would have built 18 world-class hospitals. Now, how much will this cost? Let me give you a short breakdown here. I love research normally, so forgive me for going this deep. The average hospital needs roughly 2,500 square feet per bed. Now, this makes a 120-bed hospital roughly 300,000 square feet. The national average cost to build a hospital ranges from $60 million to $187.5 million. The average project would cost $112.5 million for a new 300,000 square feet hospital that includes administrative areas, emergency and operating rooms, and even enough space for 120 beds. At the low end, the project could be as low as $52.2 million for a 150,000 square feet micro hospital with 60 beds, an emergency department, outpatient surgical facilities, and limited administrative areas. Some private large hospitals could cost as much as $210 million for a 500,000 square feet hospital with 150 beds, administrative areas, special units, and extensive operating and emergency rooms. Now, tell me, what is so important that the government of Nigeria cannot spend $300 million annually for a world-class hospital that will save lives, the lives of its citizens? Talking about education, it is very obvious to see that this government doesn't really care about the Nigerian education sector. The strikes have proven that to be true. Nigerian professors are currently paid 4.5 to 6 million naira annually as their salaries. That is a meager 500,000 naira monthly on the high side. Imagine dedicating all your life to research and study only to live in penury, because what can 500,000 do in this current economy? That is less than $1,000. And look at the state of universities in the country. How much do you learn in such conditions? Now, during my university days, there were many days when my friend and I would rather stay back and copy notes than go to class because lectures were being held in the convocation square. Students were seated on the floor. Some had to stand surrounding the lecturer just so they could hear what he was saying. There was no public address system, and when they got one, the battery was always dead. Schooling in Nigeria is stressful. That is why I don't blame people for thinking school is a scam over here, because why go through all that suffering for 4 to 5 years only to come and sit at home with your parents? No jobs. And now, talking about jobs, that was another metric used to measure the poverty rate in Nigeria. During the 2015 campaigns, the Buhari campaign along with Tinubu said that if they failed after 4 years, Nigerians should stone them. Well, I wonder why we've not gotten our stones out by now. 33% of Nigerians who are ready and able to work are without one. There are no jobs anywhere. The available ones, you will see 80 to 90 years old grandpa struggling with you for it. Hey Tinubu, I'm sorry, I forgot your age again, but I'm sure you get my point. For context, in the third quarter of 2015, Nigeria's unemployment rate was 9.9%. So again, will it get better? I think I'm yet to mention security, but should I really talk about security? Nah, that is a very sensitive topic right now in the country, and I don't want to get picked up by the authorities. But you already know the state of security in the country. It's on the list of things checked while calculating Nigeria's poverty rate, for crying out loud. Honestly, Boko boys were out on a rampage during the Goodluck Jonathan's administration, and it was pathetic that the country was appearing helpless. But while the group seems to have been technically defeated, it's quite bizarre that we are still battling with another group whose origin remains shrouded in mystery, a mystery even I am too scared to talk about. In all honesty, I don't see how we come out of this. We can only hope and then go out and vote so we can save our country from this downward spiral. Now that I have mentioned the election, let's talk about INEC. The INEC has said that underage persons won't be allowed to vote in 2023. Can we have a round of applause for INEC? Yes, they're finally doing something right, okay? Now, hold on a second. I thought you guys did biometric registrations, kept people under the sun for hours just so they could register for the exercise. I mean, these registrations were done in person by your agents. So my question is, how the hell did you come up with underage people registered to vote in the first place? You really want to tell me that these pictures showing up on the screen right now didn't look underage when they showed up to register? Or are you confirming that they didn't show up for the registration exercise themselves? And if that's the case, how come you have their names and details in your system? You see, Nigerians are not daft. You people need to stop treating us like we are some dummies who doesn't know their left from right. Whoever did the registration of these minors should be sacked and sent to prison in the first place. That is how you stop this nonsense from happening again. It is not by coming on TV to tell us what you will do or what you won't do. Allowing their names and details into your database is the first offense. Telling us you are doing cleanups of the database doesn't erase the fact that you deliberately allowed them into your system. If not, were you hacked? Who registered them? Where were they registered? Who allowed them in? What is their punishment? How do we prevent this from happening again? You see, voter ID is important to stop fraud. But when you commit fraud to get that ID and you are not punished for it, how do you deter others from committing the same in the future? I agree that INEC has tried and are still trying to have a free and fair election in 2023. But let's not allow the process to get tainted even before the polls. And I want to ask, who has the power to disqualify election candidates? And on what grounds should those be? Because I don't understand how and why everyone is acting like the 𝗪𝗃𝗺𝗃 documentary was another episode of Game of Thrones. You don't just watch these types of docuseries or documentaries with such details and allegations and then act like it's another true crime episode. This dude wasn't trying to entertain you. He was asking valid questions. So what are you guys going to do about it? This is very important as it pertains to the integrity of next year's election. If you choose to ignore everything like it was some movie and Nigerians go on to vote without these issues being cleared, what precedent are you setting? I remember very well how Nigerians were commenting on the US elections when Donald Trump was running. A lot of people questioned his morals. How is it okay here to elect someone you don't know a lot about? Someone with question marks hanging all over him, yet you criticize a candidate for same office in another country? I really hope we get it right this time, but to do that, we need to ask questions. We need to be ready to hold our public office holders accountable. We need to be more interested in politics. It is not for the rich and old. It is something we need to do to survive. Thanks for watching today's episode, and I'll see you tomorrow.